how do we engineer a tax system that works, and underlining the we, the who is we, and that seems to be a theme that each one of you picked up. In a world which is very fluid, where people can move around, intellectual property can move around, who is the we? And then Richard talked about the apportionment of profit in the context perhaps of a social contract of tax. That's very interesting because it kind of is a juxtaposition with later comments about moving intellectual property around. And I suspect an awful lot of the value in the world these days is created in people's baths or showers, whichever they... Because, you know, it's a few... If you look at, you know, to use a cliche, but something like a Google, the amount of wealth that's been created by two guys who had an idea about how to search the internet is just mind-boggling. And an awful lot of that value comes back to that original conceived idea and the small number of patents around that idea. Jamie talked about economic activity and the locus of economic activity. So we should be taxing baths, I think. We talked a lot about sovereignty, and I think this is a real issue. I mean, you know, I think you can't divorce politics and political will and political determination from tax, however much one might try, because it is a social contract, and as soon as you have a social contract, you've got politics. You must have. If you've got political will in a world where a lot of people want increasing sovereignty, not less, and so if you're going to respond to political will, and yet you want transnational and transparent reporting and so on, and it kind of flies in the face of some of the major trends which are happening at the moment. So again, I don't have an answer. I just noticed that there was some kind of diametric views coming through as people talk. I thought it was very interesting that avoidance is not new. And I think in this country we're all familiar with the old houses with bricked up windows. That kind of speaks to that fact. And I think also the last kind of conflict or diametrically opposed points that I would like to pick up on was this kind of idea of profit maximisation, the responsibility of firms to maximise the returns of shareholders, in this country embodied in the Companies Act in terms of the fiduciary duty. I mean, it's difficult as a director because you have an absolute legal fiduciary responsibility to maximise tax and not waste your shareholders' money. And so if you're paying taxes you don't have to, well, how can you support that? You know, and I'm not saying I'm either's right or wrong, but it seems that at the moment, if anything, the legal structure, the legislation, pushes you to have an obligation to avoid tax, not otherwise. Maybe I'm overstating that, but there is a tension there.